that's a perfect way to dovetail into this next item, which is Coming to America 2. Actually, it's not Coming to America 2. It's inventively titled Coming to America. Whack title aside, I cannot wait to see this movie. This movie is coming out tomorrow. So UK time, this is still Thursday. Hopefully this goes up in time. Friday, Coming to America is going to be released. Coming to America. See, whenever I say it, it feels like I'm talking about the first film when I'm really talking about this sequel. Bit of background. Sexual Chocolate. Coming to America is my #1 comedy of all time. I know people say that. I don't want to be that guy when people were raving about Marvel films and Black Panther when it came out. They'd never read a comic book. They'd probably never seen a Marvel movie. It was just a thing because it was black superheroes. I get it. I'm not hating on it. I get it. But I'm not that dude. I was 9 when Coming to America came out. And I remember seeing it maybe a little bit afterwards on video, on that kind of thing. And I was already in love with Eddie Murphy. So seeing him in like Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop, he was the GOAT. He still is, the Grandmaster. You know, some people say Dave Chappelle. I think they're like here. Coming to America, it was just so funny. The fish out of water. Eddie Murphy, I've always found funny his commentary on America as a black dude. Trading Places was a commentary on America. You know, a black guy in a predominantly wealthy white world. Beverly Hills Cop, street cop from Detroit, being in the, you know, the fancy, very white, very privileged La La Land. So you got this whole fish out of water thing, which has been part of Eddie Murphy's shtick in some of those 80 movies. Even 48 Hours, he was with Nick Nolte, a black cop with a white cop. You know, fish out of water kind of thing. Not a cop. I think it was a cop. Anyway. Golden Child. He was with Asian people. I could go on. Coming to America was the ultimate fish out of water situation where he was an African prince, but rather than it being the joke of this stereotypical African that couldn't speak English or was sort of, you know, ignorant, he was fly. Him and Semi, they were cool. They were rich. They were accomplished. They could take care of themselves. You know, they were slumming it being in America rather than Africans looking at America as the land of milk and honey and the promised land. They were having to sort of go on a budget holiday to get there and live in filth, basically. Not calling Queens New York filth, but in the film they pretty much did. I fell in love with Lisa. I had the biggest crush on her. True story, my wife and I, awkward, we were in Atlanta in 2005. We were at the TD Jakes conference and we were staying at the Hilton Hotel. The Regency, Hyatt Regency Hotel. And they had the Black Journalists, National Black Journalists Convention, which had certain panel speakers and celebs. And Jesse Jackson was there. And one time we're walking around a corner and we see the actress herself who plays Lisa McDowell. She didn't look a day older. This was 2005, and even today, in pictures I've seen of this new movie, she don't look older, but anyway. And I said to her, I made a big mistake. I went over and said, hey, pleased to meet you. Oh, I love Coming to America. I used to watch it all the time when I was a child. At that point, I was like in my mid-20s and she looked like, child, did you just make me feel old? And I was like, I put my foot in it, but she was gracious and she was like, thank you. And, you know, and I went off thinking, why did I just have to put that when I was a child thing on the end? But anyway, she was stunning then and she's, you know, a stunning woman. Loved Patrice, her sister. Why does she always get the good ones? Soul Glow, Eric LaSalle, as with a Jerry Curl in that movie, you know, the barbershop. It's a cliche even to mention the characters, you know, aha. And my guy, I'm going to butcher the jokes, but what's his name? Is it Clarence the barber? He's like, yeah, man, walking down the street, feeling good. Someone knocked me down and I looked up and it's like Martin Luther King. Say, sorry, I thought you somebody else. I'm like, no, you're lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. It was just, if you've never seen Coming to America, don't be put off by these whack impressions. Download the movie and watch the first one before this new one. You'll have the time of your life. But for me, when you saw stuff on TV about Africans, it was either roots or charity shows, give to the Ethiopian crisis and stuff like that. So the idea of these regal Africans, I know they weren't real, the same way that Wakanda isn't real. But these Zamundas coming to town with my man, King Jaffe Joffa, James Earl Jones. By the way, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so the voice of Darth Vader. Him walking in with his lion skin on his side of his shoulder, rose petals on the ground. I'm coming for my son, Nakeem. It was just like you're seeing these powerful black depictions on screen, juxtaposed with street jive, Randy Watson, sexual chocolate. The preacher, I love the Lord, yeah. All these characters. You had the culture, black American culture, met sort of African culture, and that was the joke, and it was lovely. No one was being derived too much. It was a celebration of the cultures, and it was just funny. It's funny to this day. So I've always felt there could be a legitimate sequel to Coming to America. I thought, hey, Lisa and Akeem could have kids, and maybe they want to come back to America to find out what all the fuss was about. Mom, how did you meet Dad? What was your hometown like? We're living in this opulent Zamunda. What was like New York like? And different characters, maybe there was a reversal somehow. And all the time, I remember seeing interviews with Eddie Murphy over the years, and people would suggest, well, what about Coming to America sequel? And he's like, nah, I don't think so. And then I remember one of my other funny comedies of all time was Dumb and Dumber. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. That is hilarious. Different type of humor. That's more stupid humor, hence the title Dumb and Dumber. Where Coming to America is clever. John Landis, some of the greatest comedy films of all time. He directed the original Coming to America with the famous looks to camera and Eddie Murphy kills it. Those looks to camera like say what now? You think I'm an idiot. A famous one in Trading Places when the Duke brothers are trying to explain trading to him. And he talks about bacon for your BLT sandwich. And Eddie Murphy's like, it's just classic. But anyway, loved his movies. Dumb and Dumber was more stupid. But I was always thinking I would so love to see those characters together of Harry and Lloyd. They were so funny, heartwarming idiots. And there was rumors and rumblings that there would be a sequel. Most comedy sequels tend to suck. Zoolander 2 wasn't awful, but wasn't really that good. Anchorman 2 actually was decent. Was funny, but wasn't really quite up to the standards of Anchorman 1. Eventually, after 20 years, and I think that was a record of comedy sequel, the gap between the first film and the second one, Dumb and Dumber 2 came out. And it was alright. It was funny, I laughed, but there was something about the characters that the actors had gotten quite old. So for them acting like children, back in the original one in 1994, it was stretching. I mean, it was funny. The idea that these adult men acting like 5-year-olds was funny. Now Jim Carrey's got some wrinkles kind of around the eyes and don't look so young. And Jeff Daniels already was older looking even back in the day. So seeing them acting like 2-year-olds, and also some of the humor got a bit mean-spirited. This is a bit of a spoiler. Harry, played by Jeff Daniels, it turns out he was adopted by a Chinese couple. And he goes to see them, and they start speaking to him in Mandarin or whatever it was. And Lloyd, played by Jim Carrey, just starts laughing, saying, "What are you talking about? What are you saying? These words." He's just taking the mickey out of them speaking Chinese. And I was like, oh, a bit awkward. And I'm not a snowflake. I'm not someone who's saying, that's racist. maybe, but I wasn't saying it. It was just a bit like some of the humor seemed a bit mean-spirited, but I found it funny. I laughed, but it just wasn't. It didn't do very well in the box office. Most people forgot about the movie, and it kind of just simmered away. Eddie Murphy decided, I'm not touching Coming to America. I want the goodwill to last as long as possible. I would have understood. Even though deep down, secretly, I was aching for the sequel to one of the greatest comedies of all time. My prayers were answered, folks, as you know. Coming to America comes out on Amazon Prime on the 5th of March, which from this day is tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get this video out in time. Otherwise, this will be like a Back to the Future scenario. My only upset is the cinemas are closed. This would have been, hear me out, this would have probably been like a Wakanda Black Panther scenario, where we would have showed up with our dashikis, our African cloth, our crowns. It would have been like a fancy dress affair. Or some people might have dressed up in McDowell's uniforms. Either way, equally cool. I feel cheated. There's many things that I feel cheated about, and I'm sure you do about COVID, but for this I feel cheated that we couldn't be in a cinema hearing people laugh hysterically to this movie. I believe this movie deserved to be seen on the big screen with an audience of people laughing, because I would have loved to have gotten that. I would have loved to have experienced it. I was too young to have seen the first Coming to America in the cinema. So I missed out then, and I miss out again. Nevertheless, small consolation, at least the movie's coming out. Maybe we can do some watch parties, who knows? But hopefully, as more people get the chance to see this movie in the comfort of their home, there's no excuses, than if it had come out in the cinema last Christmas. Christmas as well, man. That would have been the ultimate Christmas movie to have seen it. Anyway, well. It is what it is. The trailer came out, trailer 1. I was like, hoo. Again, I know it's not a PG-13 or a U movie, the original, but my kids have seen Coming to America. My wife, we just sort of cover their ears at the swear parts, or just say, sorry about that word, but just keep on watching. I watched the first trailer, and I gotta be honest, I was worried. It felt, not because it was awful, but because it didn't come across like there was any story, or it was just like, here's this person again, here's the barbershop, here's this character. And the choice of music was a bit too bombastic. And I'm thinking, Coming to America, though it was a comedy, it also was a real movie. It had a storyline, it had plot, it had drama, it had some pathos. It wasn't just a comedy gag. Most comedies now are just sort of pure old fart jokes or just outrageous scenes with very little story thread together. Coming to America was an urban fairy tale. And I was worried that you wouldn't really have that story side to it. It'd feel more like just sort of an SNL sketch, but obviously one of the greatest SNL alumni of all time, Eddie Murphy. So I watched it and I was like, I don't know. They look good. Eddie and Arsenio, Akeem and Semi, they still look good. Lisa, she looks good. James L. Journier's in there. He's knocking on, but looking good. So I was like, yo, everyone's back, but I don't get a gauge of whether this is going to be good or not. For me, because so much was riding on this movie, I didn't think they should have treated it like a regular movie, a little teaser. I think they needed to lead with something that says, don't worry, we ain't messed this up. Every time Eddie Murphy tells the story, every time people bump into him when they knew this movie was greenlit, they're like, don't mess this up, yo. Well, stronger word, but I don't like swearing on the channel or even off the channel. Same with Arsenio Hall. Everyone would come up to him saying, don't mess this up. So I can't imagine the pressure. You're like making a sequel to one of the funniest comedies of all time, and you're the same people. So if you mess this up, you're sort of letting your old self down in the process. You know what I'm saying? So I was worried, but then the second trailer came out and it was exactly what I wanted the first trailer to be. You got a sense of the story. Leslie Jones was funny in it. Hey, Queen. You know, you got a sense of the tone of the movie. That it felt quite like it was faithful to the original, the first coming to America, and it was great to see the family, the royal family of Zamunda. The fact that Akeem and Lisa have 3 daughters, one of them played by Eddie Murphy's real daughter, mind, and that there was going to be some pathos. Wesley Snipes as a villain. I hadn't seen Dolomite Is My Name. I know I'm giving you my black card back. I apologize. But I knew it was good from what I heard. And I intended to watch it before I saw this movie because it's the same director, Craig Brewer. And I can happily report I have seen Dolomite Is My Name, and it is fantastic. It was very blue in places, but, you know, Rudy was in real life. The real story of the comedian who played Dolomite, you know, he was R-rated material. So you couldn't really make it PG-13. You couldn't hide away from it. And because it's a true story, though I don't sometimes like too much profanity, too much, you know, sexual kind of content or stuff implied. Generally speaking, it didn't linger on it too long. And it was a real story, so I could kind of overlook those sides. Bit awkward watching it with my 15-year-old daughter in places. It was like, cover your eyes, you know, close your eyes at this bit. And I would normally, but I felt the story was one where it was someone being a creative, fighting against the odds, people telling him no, and him pushing through. So I felt the message was strong, and I really wanted to check out the director's work. So I really like it. I dug it, which was a relief. Phew. Because if it sucked, I wouldn't have been too sure. I wouldn't have gone into coming to America, feeling too confident. But it was good, and Wesley Snipes stole the show. I know that's old news. I thought he was hilarious. So I'm looking forward to seeing him as the villain, General Izzy, in this movie. And it's interesting because these days people will say stuff like, why is there a white director directing this film, black movie? You know, why couldn't they give it someone like Ryan Coogler? And I'm like, well, the original film was directed by John Landis, and he's Jewish. And he can't really say that movie is one of your top movies of all time, black comedy, but then have an issue the fact that the director of the sequel is white when that guy was white. Do you know what I mean? Craig Brewer, I think, has made every movie he's made, I think, has been a predominantly black cast. So he's very much in the culture. I think he has his black pass. Cringe. But he gets it. He gets the culture, and he's a student of John Landis, and Coming to America was one of his favourite movies of all time. So, you know, let's watch the movie first. If he messed it up, then go find him. We will find you. We have a certain set of skills. But give him the benefit of the doubt, and so far, the buzz is good. I can't wait. I cannot wait to go back to Queens. She's your queen to be. I can't wait to go back to Zamunda. And by the trailer, it looks like he brings some of the Queens natives to Zamunda. So you got that, not just the son. I still think it's Semi's child. I just find it difficult to think that Akeem would and Leslie Jones, bless her, they did the bad thing and got a child. I think it would not surprise me in the slightest if it turned out to be Semi's child, because he was pretending to be the prince most of the time, right? Remember Lisa's sister? So hopefully, well, I'll find out either way. And it's not the most original idea I've had. So I cannot wait. I'm going to come back with a review of this movie, and hopefully we can all celebrate and have a new tradition of maybe they'll release it in the cinema after the pandemic, and we can all dress up. You know what? Maybe a new movie, Wakanda meets Zamunda. So maybe a crossover of the Black Panther universe and the Coming to America universe. Maybe they were neighbors, you know, like the secret, they were annexed to each other. You know how like Ghana and Nigeria are next to each other? Maybe Zamunda and Wakanda are sort of next door. They didn't know. You know, Akeem powers up to have some special suit. I'm clowning y'all. Wait, that has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of The Right Tone. I've been Anthony Aris-Osula. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, author of the book Coconut Prince that comes out this summer by hook or by crook. And, you know, I used to have a radio show. I've interviewed everyone from Jennifer Hudson to the Marlon Jackson of the Jackson 5, Cuba Gooding Jr. I was in a big commercial for Amazon that came out last Christmas. I was the dad of the ballerina in The Show Must Go On. And in the UK, me and my family, the Aris-Osulas, we were the stars of a huge Tesco commercial in the summer for Tesco Mobile. So I get around, but enough about what I'm doing. What are you doing? What is going on with you? Let me know in the comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Any ideas of topics that you'd want me to talk about? Let's get into a conversation. Thank you for watching The Right Tone. I hope you had some fun. If not, I hope you'll come again and see if you have fun next time. In the interim, like, comment and subscribe. Let me know. Let's get into a conversation in the comment sections. I will reply and press that notification bell for more stuff like this. That's if you liked it. Also, you can see me in Clubhouse, Anthony Aris-Osula. Come look for me when I open a room and we can get into it, maybe break down some of the topics that I've put in the video and have some fun. I look forward to seeing you in the club and on here. Subscribe below. See you next time.